Hey y'all, I'm Teresa.
And Mark.
And we're your host for
Tell Me That Story,
where we tell you true stories of real life happenings.
So stick around, because you never know what you might hear. Well, Teresa, how was your day today?
It's been a really good day. I just was at my regular job and then came home and I made y'all a treat.
Yeah, I know. Peach cobbler. It smells and looks so good, but I'm going to wait till we get through recording before I eat any.
And I made it in the iron skillet. I've kind of been on a peach cobbler kick, and I've been making them in the iron skillet, and I have to brag on it a little bit. I'm just saying, it's pretty good.
Oh, it's so good, yeah. Well, I did yard work all day, and it's been hot. It's getting summertime here in East Tennessee. It's been pretty warm today.
I know, and I came home, and the yard was looking so good. You've done a good job.
Well, yeah, I'm tired.
I bet.
It's been a long day. And then me and Lizzie went kayaking this afternoon. I was too tired to go, but she wanted to go, so we went. And
got to get out there and do a little something for that girl.
Yeah, it was nice. We went on Holston River and kayaked a little ways. It's beautiful down there. But what we're going to talk about tonight?
Well, back up a little bit. She said something about a cave.
Yeah, there's I don't know if I would really call it a cave. Well, I guess it's a cave. It's just a shallow cave. It doesn't go back very far. But there's two holes in the wall of the cave that I don't know if they're natural or if maybe Native Americans stayed in there at one time and they put the holes in the wall so they could see out or get air. I don't know. But
yeah.
It just looks really cool. It looks like two windows in the wall of this cave on the outside. It's pretty cool. And
that's the one that I've seen before, right?
Yeah, you can see it from the boat dock.
Y'all didn't go up in there, did you?
Absolutely not.
Did she want to?
Yep. I said, I am not going in there. No, I don't do caves.
I don't know that she would really like it if she got up in there either because, I think we went to, what was that, the Forbidden Caverns?
Yeah, she didn't like that.
She didn't care for that too much, so.
Well, this cave it looks a lot bigger from across the river. When you get up to it, it's really, I would have to get on my hands and knees and crawl to get in it.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't go in that.
Yeah, it's pretty small, but it's big enough. I just about guarantee you that it was used at one time in history as a shelter.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Well, it's a cool looking place.
It's too perfect not to have been utilized by somebody at some point.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, we've been doing some volunteer work again. It's so funny how seasons come and go and, different things come and go in your life and how it kind of comes back around again sometimes.
Yeah.
And, lately, me and Lizzie, we've been doing some volunteer work at one of the local nursing homes.
Yep.
And that's been nice.
Yeah, it is.
That's near and dear to our heart, and so because we used to work at a nursing home for a good while.
Yeah.
Let's see, I worked there it was 8 years at a nursing home in Mississippi. Of course, if y'all followed us for very long, y'all know that we moved we originally came from Mississippi and then we were living in South Louisiana and then we moved on to East Tennessee where we're at now. Yeah. We love, by the way.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, we were kayaking down that river and there's just big mountain and just this sheer rock cliff. And I told Lizzie, I said, there's nothing like this anywhere close to where we've ever been. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the Mississippi River was nice to be able to go down there and look at that too, but this just does something to your heart.
Oh, the water is crystal clear,
right.
Just beautiful. I mean, it's just amazing beautiful up here.
Just the beauty of it sometimes just makes me cry. I mean,
yeah,
I just see
it's
it.
pretty overwhelming sometimes.
Overwhelms me.
And people that have lived here for a long time or people that grow up here, they take it for granted.
I notice it every day.
I've had people say, well, I don't even notice the mountains anymore. I still, after 2.5 years, I still,
I'm in awe of it.
This still just blows my mind to come over the hill and see that big mountain standing there. It's just gorgeous.
I don't really notice the glitter and the glam in
Oh,
as
no,
much.
that faded really quick.
Right,
yeah.
But we didn't come for the glitter and the glam anyway.
No.
I mean, it was always the mountains.
Yep, and opportunity.
Right.
So much to do here.
And so here we have been volunteering at this nursing home, and we got some friends that just recent friends that we've just really hit it off with, and that's just something that they do, and asked us to go with them, and we had been wanting to do that. Lizzie had been wanting to go, and so we got to be able to go and do that again, and so that's just an honor because the Bible talks about that we need to remember the orphans and the widows and the prisoners, and
Right.
so that's part of what we need to do as Christians, right?
Yep.
And so I was just thinking about how we got started with that, and I was thinking about some of our other good friends, Tate Harper, Chuck Parrish, Jeff Lynn,
Yeah.
and we've done that podcast with Chuck.
Yeah. We need to get him back on, do another one, do a follow-up.
Yeah, the name of the one that he did with us was
The Value of Scars.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So
It's
if y'all are listening, then y'all go back and listen to that. So Tate and Chuck, I started off in the business office, working as business office manager, HR specialist. Hated it. I hated every minute of it. And that was supposed to be temporary because we had been singing full time, right?
Right.
And then we ended up getting our miracle, which was, getting the children, and the doctors had said we couldn't have any. And then, so there I had been able to stay home for a year, and then it was time where we needed to do something.
Yeah.
So went down there, got this job that I thought was going to be a couple of weeks temporary. And it was a bad situation. The lady that was in there that was business office manager ended up having a tumor in her brain and ended up passing away. And it was just sad. But so that temporary position that I thought I was having ended up turning into where I was there for 8 months, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, I met Tate and Chuck because they were like regional directors that would come in. Chuck was like the chaplain, the regional chaplain, and Tate was the activities consultant. And so I remember telling them that if there was a position that came open in activities that, I was interested. Well, at the same, it's so funny how God works. At the same time, there was making some changes, and not just with the company. I'm just talking about with state, how laws and stuff and all that goes, and how they were going to have to do the new stuff with documentation and all those things. And so the girl that was the director over activities at the time, she wasn't wanting to, switch over and have to learn all that kind of stuff. So she stepped down into the assistant position, and I was able to take the activity director position.
Yeah, right.
You remember that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I loved it. That was right up my alley.
Yep.
So that was a blessing because, coming from where we were out full-time singing and then stopping and being in that business office, I was really having a hard time with that, wasn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough.
I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown, if you want to tell. And I think you were about ready to have a nervous breakdown dealing with me.
Yeah, I was ready for you to move somewhere else or do
during
something
that
else.
time.
Yeah. It was so stressful.
Yeah. And how long was it before you came along after that to work over there?
I don't remember what year it was, but I was only there for 2 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the last 2 years that you were there.
But the funny thing is, what I was talking about a minute ago was just how God works, and he puts you where he wants you. And I have a short little story, just kind of a little side note about that. So, just because of some of the things that I did naturally, Chuck and Tate and Jeff, they ended up deciding that they, wanted me to go through some training and some Montessori training and everything. And so I ended up becoming the director of the memory care unit. And that was even more right up my alley, right?
Yeah.
And, I had an aunt that ended up, she was back there in that unit, and she had Alzheimer's. And she really, very rarely said anything that would make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the day. I remember they had those church pews there in that day room, and she was having a moment, and so I remember taken her, and I sat down on that pew and pulled that wheelchair up to me. And she looked at me in the eyes and she said, "You finally made it." And
Yeah.
it went all over me because I knew that's where I was supposed to be in that season.
Yeah.
In that moment of time. And she was filled with so much of the Lord that she had I feel like that was God speaking to me through her, and she had a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
And so that was just a confirmation for me to know that I was in the right place at the right time, even more than just enjoying it, but where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way when you were there?
Yeah, I did. I don't want to get into the whole thing about how I left there, but yeah, I felt like I was supposed to be there
For that season.
for that
right?
season. Yeah.
And the company that we were working for, they wanted to do some things different. We find out that we were the only certified Alzheimer's unit in the company. And so things had to be done differently. And they put me through some extra training to be able to do some Montessori methods for dementia care. And just because of some of the stuff that I did naturally with music and like having the chaplain kind of heart and things like that, I started incorporating just music and memory care and Montessori methods, and was able to go and train throughout the state of Mississippi on a state level for a few times, and went into a few of the facilities. And then the Lord just had me come home, and be with the kids and begin to homeschool. Things just, life happened and some things changed, and that's what I needed to do as a mom. And that was just, it was the time that I had to do that. And I did kind of grieve then when I left, and thinking that the doors was going to open and I was going to be consulting for memory care, on a regular basis. And then my role just became being mom. And, but while we were there, I watched how gentle that you were with those residents. And from a maintenance standpoint, that's where you were at. You were maintenance assistant.
Yeah.
And I was able to be successful with that unit because of you. And I'll say to this day, I believe that, that Tate and Chuck definitely both know. Because if I needed something, or I wanted to do something, or I wanted to try something, because of you being there, you would make that happen for me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we built stuff. We
painted on walls. Yeah. And I was hired to be temporary help too.
You too, right?
Yeah. I had a house painting business at the time and couldn't find help. I had more work than I could do, and I just couldn't do it all by myself. And I was killing myself trying to get it all done. And this position came open, and I thought, well, I like being self-employed, but when we sat down and did the numbers, I could make as much money working there doing maintenance as I could doing my paint. Because, the painting business, unless you get tied in with a contractor where you're doing a lot of inside work, during the winter, it gets slow.
It was feast or famine. What?
Yeah. In the spring and summer, you can't catch up. And in the fall and winter, you about starve to death. So, yeah, I took that job to help finish with some painting that had been started there and ended up being there for 2 years.
Yeah. Isn't that how God works, though?
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Dwayne said,
Who's Dwayne?
Dwayne was the maintenance director, and he said, we're through with the painting. He said, but you ain't going nowhere until somebody says. He said, we're just going to let it ride.
Let it ride.
And I was there for almost a little over 2 years, I think.
I think so.
I enjoyed it. It was, I enjoyed the residents. I enjoyed interacting with them and talking with them, and there were some that were just, hilarious. Some of those, I can't remember the old man's name. I wouldn't call his name if I could remember, but he just kept you entertained all the time. He was so funny. And
was it the one that walked around and he had that flannel jacket on all the time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He was my buddy.
Yeah, he was. He was a character. We had several there that were like that. They'd always brighten your day. They always had something funny to say or something. To
And you
make
got to learn
make
to
you smile.
laugh along with them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it. There was, it was a job. There were things about it I didn't like,
Yeah.
but
But what did you learn? Did you learn anything, that something new that you were able to do with the residents, or how you interacted with them, with having Alzheimer's or dementia?
I guess the main thing I learned was to just kind of go with the flow,
Right.
not try to make them do. You kind of let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because they get confused really easy, and you don't try to push your way on them. You just kind of let them do within reason. You kind of let them do what they want to do to an extent. I mean, there were times when some of them would act out a little bit, but that was above my pay grade. Somebody else would come in and take care of that. But
one of the things that I noticed that you did, and you did naturally, and you were doing so well, is if you had to work on, say, a wheelchair or something like that, what would you do?
oh, I talked to them the whole time I was doing it.
And you would get down on their level, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You get down on your knees on their level and talk to them while you're working on their chair, and just interact with them.
And let them know what you were going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as sad as it is to say, there's a lot of those people there that the workers are the only people they ever get to talk to.
Yeah.
Some of them
Become
didn't have
family.
any family that ever came to visit them at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was always good to try to, brighten their day any way you could.
And one of the other things that we learned, and you did so well at also, was speaking slower.
Right. Yeah.
Because somebody that's got has like dementia, Alzheimer's, they're not processing like we are. It takes them a little longer.
Yep.
And so I struggled, to remind myself that I needed to pause. So I would say 5 or 6 words, and then I would pause.
You speak slowly and clearly. Yeah.
And then I would go ahead and say what I was going to say again,
Yeah.
Sort of like that.
Yeah.
So that was some things that we learned. And it was so funny to me when we started back over here in Tennessee and we were going and volunteering, without even thinking about it, I automatically went in activity director mode.
Yeah.
Did you notice? I didn't even think about it until I had already done it, but just the way that I did it, it was, but now I'm in hospitality.
Right.
So
yeah.
I work in hospitality. You do as well.
Right.
And so, I don't know if you want to call it, we put on that hospitality thing or we put on the memory care thing, but it just went into that mode naturally.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, really, when you think about it.
And it is. And one of the things is because of how the training that I had there, I have noticed through the years that I have used that. And a lot of times my mindset goes in that direction.
Yeah. Right.
So with, memory care, we would be on their level, we would sit down on their level. And I know not where I'm at the moment, but where I was, I know, I was doing recreation and I was sitting down one day, and I was talking to a guest, or something. And I had this really mean manager, not where I'm at now, but where I was, a really mean woman that was just really gave me a hard time. And she was like, what would you do if so-and-so saw you sitting down? What do you think they would say? Talking to that guest. And I said, well, I think that they would be happy. And she looked at me so crazy, and I said, I come from a Montessori type of standpoint. And I don't believe in hovering over people, and that we would be talking with them like friends. I would sit down beside them and I would be on their level with them. And I think, that's how you calm somebody down. You're going to be on their level, and but she was a mean woman anyway, so she didn't understand those things.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can be a little intimidating if you're standing up talking down to somebody.
Right.
So it's best to get down on their level.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not, so you can use that in all walks of life and all kinds of things,
Yeah.
Working with children, working, whatever. But
Yep.
I don't know. I was just thinking about it, how God put us there for that season. And then he's, changed our path. And it's like, we're in hospitality, but it's still kind of doing the same, the way that we do things. And now doing the volunteer thing. So you just never know, the path that God's going to take you on. And I hear so many people saying, especially my mom, she said, to me, us so many times, it's funny and wild how the path that God's taken y'all on or the life that y'all have led.
It's been an exciting journey.
It has. But, when you serve God, it is. When you go, like that along his path.
Yeah. I would like to just encourage anybody that's listening, if you have any kind of talent and you have a long-term care facility or nursing home near you, volunteer your time.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, just go visit with them, because a lot of those people don't have any visitors, and it means so much to them.
I love to see young people, and that I'm so impressed with Lizzie, and I love to see young people come in there. And whenever I was doing activities, we would set up things with churches, and I even had a youth group come in and they put on a puppet show. But we had some young people that would come in and just sit down and play checkers with them.
Right.
Or something like that. And, I remember encouraging them so much because they can learn so much from, the elderly, and then the elderly can teach them new things. The seniors can teach them new things, and
right.
And just companionship. Yeah.
And when you go in and, if you can sing, you can go in, you can sing to them. They'll, now where we're at now, I had to kind of get out of my comfort zone because I'm so used to singing holding a microphone, and where we're at, they don't have anything. So you just have to do your best with what you have, and that, as crazy as that sounds, it's out of my comfort zone singing without a mic.
I know it is.
But I've always been more comfortable singing in front of 5,000 than I have singing in front of 5.
Right.
That's just me. It's weird, but.
And for some reason, it freaks you out if you're standing on the floor singing on,
does.
With people than if you're on a platform. I don't know what that is about that, but
it's like a security blanket.
It's like
standing behind a pulpit. I can stand behind the pulpit, and I'm way more comfortable than I am if I'm just standing out from behind it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing, I guess.
Yeah, but
just one of my little quirks.
It's just one of those things.
But yeah, if you have an opportunity, it means so much to those people. It really does. It just brightens their day. Just stand up there and sing to them and see them smile. It'll brighten your day.
And it also, just for Lizzie, just for instance, she's been learning to play guitar and doing great at it. I'm very proud of her. But she feels comfortable and confident enough that she can go over there, and she can play. And that way she's actually learning, to play in front of people, but they're not intimidating to her.
Right.
Right. So.
And she loves elderly people anyway. Loves it.
Oh, I know. It's just part of her. I told her, I was like, you're going to have to work with the elderly because it's just
she loves it.
A big part of her heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was raised a lot by my parents, and of course yours wasn't around a whole lot when she was, coming on up a little bit, but
yeah,
she was just used to that. We didn't have her in daycare. I mean,
right.
She was raised by, us and my mom and dad and your mom and dad.
Yeah. Well, she better love old people because we're old.
Look, let's don't talk about it.
We got started late.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, I was 40 when she was born. I was like, Lord, have mercy.
A second ago you were talking about painting on the walls. Yeah. I remember in the memory care unit, they wanted a mural painted on those double doors before going out.
Yeah.
And, but nobody, of course, in the activities department, they don't really give you any money to do anything.
Right.
A lot of times. So, I had two ladies back there that actually were artists. And so
Yeah.
I sketched out something the best that I could, and those ladies kind of helped me along with that. And I ended up, painting and doing the best that I could with that. And that one little lady, Miss Mary,
Yeah.
she scooted up there in her chair, and I wanted to do this flower, and I didn't know how to do it. And she would just she held the paintbrush. And she would just kind of grunt at me like and do her hand this motion, and I learned how to do it that way.
Yeah.
I'll never forget her.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty amazing.
And when we could go in there and they may be upset, and I could go and sit down at the piano and I wouldn't even have to say anything. Sometimes I would just sit down and begin to play.
Yeah.
And it was like a hush that came over all of it, just like a peace.
And you know what amazed me so much? They might not could remember what they had for breakfast that morning,
Mm-hmm.
but you could sing a hymn from back in their youth, and they could sing every word. Just like that's just crazy to me.
Right.
They remember every word of those songs,
Mm-hmm.
but don't remember your name.
Yeah.
It's
Well, one of the things that we began to do is like 30 minutes before it would be mealtime, and I had this funny little thing. 30 minutes before mealtime, we would put on the song, "You Are My Sunshine," before every meal. And so I was in there one day. I was in the day room one day, and I heard one of them, they said, I had the song going, and they said, "What time is it?" And the other one said, "I don't know, but I think it's time to eat." And they started, they would just.
yeah. When they heard that song, they would start making their way to the dining room.
Yeah, they related that song to "It's time to eat."
Yep.
And so they would just get on up naturally
Yeah.
and start walking towards the dining room. And that's the purpose.
Yep.
And there was things that you could do with other things like, and I love to teach people about that kind of stuff. So anyhow, the point tonight was just the memories that we had about doing that, and the new thing that we're doing with volunteering, and just want to encourage you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a ministry.
Yep.
It's a ministry. It's important. Don't leave it out. Don't leave out the prisoners. I mean, we've done that too. We've got a podcast. I think it's called Pardon, Forgiven, and Free.
Yep.
You even wrote that song about it.
Yep.
And of course we've adopted also. So, I mean, get out there and don't forget your widows, your orphans, your prisoners.
Exactly right. Well, guys, I think that's about all we've got for tonight. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Like the show, rate the show, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment.
Yeah, leave some comments. We'd love to see what you have to say.
We'd
and
love to hear from you. Yeah.
If there's a story that you think, that you have, you might want to stick it in the comments or send us a little message and let us hear from you. Tell us your story.
Yeah, we're on all the major podcast players. So, I mean, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. So look us up.
YouTube. We're on YouTube too.
Yeah, rate us, review us. And thank y'all again for joining us tonight. Hope to see y'all next time on Tell Me That Story.
Y'all have a blessed night. Mark's got to go get some of that peach cobbler.
I'm ready.
Bye, y'all.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.